to the Business Blueprint Podcast, where we take you on an exciting adventure through our triumphs and challenges and failures in creating and maintaining a thriving 6, 7, and 8-figure business. Get ready to dive into our strategies, decisions, and yes, even valuable lessons we've learned from our missteps. But that's not all. We'll also bring you industry-leading guests who will provide you with their priceless insights and wisdom. Stay tuned because the captivating journey of the Business Blueprint begins right now. Hi, I'm Charles Hatley, and this is the Business Blueprint, where each week we talk about things that are going on in our business to get us to a 7, 8, and 9-figure run rate and what is interesting us at that time. So today I'm joined by Rebecca Malone and Jake Maines. And Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and give us a quick intro.
All right. Yeah, I'm Jake Maines. I am a realtor. I host an event called Networking Happy Hour, which is a once-a-month get-together. I started the event when I left my 9-to-5 as the creative director for a marketing agency. Wanted a way to add value and, get in front of some more people, kind of just throw a party for my friends and help them connect with other people, me to connect with new people. And over the last 3 years, it's grown into one of the biggest networking events in the area. So I'm very excited that it's very grateful that it's grown so much and provided a lot of opportunities for myself and for others.
Mm-hmm. And, coming from marketing into real estate, is that a normal career path or is that a little bit different?
I'm not sure. I really wasn't going to be a full-fledged realtor. I wanted to get my license so that I could have a foot in the door for my own investing. I was going out with a realtor and looking at some houses to flip. I'm like, I'm not the money guy. I'm not the contractor. What am I here? Let me get my license so that I can at least open the door for myself. And then I realized, well, it costs me money to have my license. So let me help some friends and family. And my first client was Jamal, who I worked with at Array Digital. And I helped him sell his house. And then I helped my mom buy a house in North Carolina. And, after that first year, I'm like, oh, wow, okay. I've actually kind of created a business here on the side. And honestly, the reason I got into marketing in the first place was I knew I eventually wanted to have my own business. I just had no idea what it was going to be, but I knew it needed marketing. So I got my feet wet and, had a, good career in marketing, but I'm happy to have made the transition to be my own boss and apply those marketing skills to my own business. Yeah.
That's awesome. So when you were making your transition, what did you first do to kind of get your name out there to start that online presence? Because it's really intimidating when people charge thousands and thousands of dollars for websites and SEO and everything else. What was your very first thing to get started where you knew you were going to get some bang for your buck?
Well, I guess kind of ironically, I have that background in online marketing, but I knew that this was a very relationship-driven business. So I was reaching out to my connections to let them know that I got my real estate license. And I did, though, create a Google business profile and, made sure that that was nice and optimized. And then I was buddies with one of the web developers at the company I was at. So he helped me out for a pretty inexpensive website. And that really, laid the groundwork in the beginning. And then, it definitely takes money to make money in the online world. So as I started making more money, now I've reinvested a lot more into my website, and it's, got a robust search feature on there and starting to rank really well on Google. But I would say, bottom line is Google Business Profile is the name of the game for any, local business.
That's great. I feel like so many realtors end up getting stuck, paying for leads and going somewhere like Zillow and just paying enormous amounts of money for online marketing. I don't feel like I've seen a lot of realtors who are really active on Google My Business or a lot of other social media necessarily.
Yeah, I think I was paying for some Facebook leads, low cost leads there, but then you're cold calling these people that just, responses, no, I'm just looking to browse for houses. And I'm like, all right, keep browsing on my website. And so I've recently got rid of that and reinvested that money into SEO to get more qualified leads. But yeah, I mean, even the Zillow leads can be quite expensive. And yeah, I just like with the relationship side of business, like I want it to be, I know it's a long game. I want to build that, that foundation. So that was kind of the intention when I went in with, SEO and, built this new website and creating blog posts and, building tons of different content. I know it's going to be a long game, but I think it'll pay dividends, which I think there are some people that are using Google Business, but I haven't seen any other realtor or that is trying to compete with Zillow or Redfin, which is what we're trying to do.
One of the things I always see, a lot of business people come in, they say, I offer a product, right? Every business should offer some sort of product, some sort of commodity that they're selling, if it's a service, whatever it may be. And they tend to forget that they need to market that product. And when you're talking to other business owners, do you find that that is true as well? And are they even receptive to the idea of maybe instead of worrying about the product you offer so much, you should worry about marketing the thing a little bit more?
Well, I don't know if I have the right answer to that question, but I would say sometimes. Well, let me kind of take a little spin on it. Sometimes people are over marketing in terms of networking. So I host an event and people come, and I really try to take a different approach to networking at the event. I don't want people to be hyper focused on, hey, this is what I sell. Hi, my name is Jake. I'm a realtor. Hi, my name is Jake. I'm a realtor. The first commercial that we shot, I had somebody come in and they had a huge stack of business cards and they were putting it in everybody's hands. I'm like, man, it's not that kind of event. Like, I would say that marketing is important, but I try to take a more genuine approach, build relationships, and when the time, people will know what you do. It's, they're going to figure that out, but, not starting with that because you hear, oh, he's a realtor. Well, I'm not trying to buy a house right now. So on to the next one. But if my buddy, Zach Miller, he's my business coach. He just put out a book called What Are You Watching on Netflix? And it's all about taking a different approach to networking. So his go-to opening line is, what are you watching on Netflix? Opens up a little bit more interesting conversation than, hey, what do you do for a living? So yeah, a little bit of a spinoff from your original question, but yeah.
I think I would fail in that conversation because I'd be like, I don't have Netflix. Sorry.
No, you're not streaming anything.
I'd be like, I have no idea, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
So when you're doing these events,
do you watch anything, or you just?
I turn it on in the background. I don't really watch anything set. And to say I just turn on the background, kind of walk away, which drives people crazy because I was walk away, and I have no interest.
I get that. Yeah. It'll be just background noise. Like I'll listen to The Office in the background, and just you hear one thing and you laugh, and then you're back to whatever you're doing.
And sometimes I even forget to start a show.
Yeah.
So when you're talking to people about networking and you're going to these events, I know we've probably all been to networking events where it's abhorrent, right? Everybody's shoving some specialty that they do. They're important for this reason down your throat. How did you make sure to attract the right people, but in the same sense, keep the wrong people away?
Well, I try to definitely set the tone for the events. There's no agenda. You can show up anytime between 5 and 8. There's nobody standing up giving a pitch. So that was when I first created these events. I was like, yeah, there are other networking events. It was kind of perfect timing as well. COVID, people were tired of the Zoom meetings where you are going around the Zoom meeting and listening to each person give their little pitch. So they were tired of that. And I had thought back on my days of BNI where you have to just stand up and give your pitch, which definitely works for some people, but I wanted something different where just show up to happy hour. There's going to be like-minded people there that want to meet you. And it kind of just took a life of its own. And then when it comes to the people that aren't really in line with what, we want, where they are just work in the room, I may pull them aside and have a conversation with them and be like, hey, let's try to, ask a different opening question, build a little bit of a relationship instead of, shoving your business card in their hand.
So when you first got started, how did you start getting like high attendance at these events? It's hard when you start or you're trying to start a networking event and you have like 5 people show up. But I feel like you've had a really good turnout kind of from day one. So what did you do to really generate that interest and kind of fill the room for the first time?
I texted, called, emailed
Yeah.
everyone in my contact list that I knew might be interested. At that time, I created a Facebook event, but now I kind of even stray away from Facebook. Uh, so yeah, I reached out to everyone. And then I had been in BNI years before, and I had visited every group in the area, had this massive stack of business cards. I might even still have it somewhere, but yeah, massive stack of business cards. And so I went through those and, said, "Hey, it's Jake. We haven't talked in a while. I'm hosting a happy hour next week. You're free to come." I got a lot of response that, not free next week, but add me to the list. So that created my list, which I think is one of the biggest, keys. So I'm not just using a Facebook event and sending out that blast where you expect somebody to check their notification and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm coming." I need to own that data. And so I have my name, email, phone number, notes about the person, when the last event, like I have all of that information.
Mhm.
Now that the list has grown to several thousand, I'm sending an email calendar invite to those folks. And then, I'm doing things at this point to continue to generate more people onto the list. But yeah, I would say, hitting the phone and um, inviting people, and then to continue that, you just being consistent is super important. People do get, bummed out when there's only 5 people at their first event, but that's, you've got 5 people, but you also touched 30 people that may not be there, but now you're top of mind. And that's one thing that even if I was getting 50 people at the events, I'm still sending an email to 5,000. So, I'm able to stay top of mind.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I really like about your event in particular is that there's a calendar invite. And so I don't have to take that extra step, which I know is so minuscule, but I don't have to take that extra step of like, here's the invitation. Let me plug it into my calendar. Let me make sure I add reminders to it. Like it's all done. It's just like accept. And now it's on my calendar and I get the reminders and I get an email like a few days in advance, like, hey, you've got this event coming up this week. Just a reminder. I'm like, oh, yeah, that event's coming up this week. It makes
Uh,
it so much easier to just stay on top of it. And if it's on my calendar, it'll probably happen, right? Otherwise, it leaves my brain and goes away somewhere else forever.
yeah, I get that. And I appreciate that. That's, I'll definitely keep sending them for sure.
Makes it easy on me. What tools have you found? You'd mentioned like building your list and having a list of 5,000 contacts. Are there particular services or systems that you've used that have been more efficient than others? Has it been like some trial and error in terms of what's really worked the best for you?
I get some, well, I have a landing page on my website where I try to send people. It's networkinghh.com is, the URL for the landing page, and people can see all about the event and register. So we do have some that are coming through there, and then others through Eventbrite, and other people will just say, "Hey, Jake, add this person to your list," or people just show up to the event and get added. I haven't figured out a very smooth, there is Zapier that can work, but it's still hard when you have business cards and then you're like, all right, I got to manually enter these people into this.
Right.
I use Google, all Google products. So using Google Sheets to add them in there. And then, yeah, from there, I just, send off the calendar invite, and that also can sometimes be hit or miss if it, actually hits, because there's a lot of people on the list, but, also email reminders or.
So when you're doing these events, you talked about consistency. And consistency goes to any form of marketing. I always, every once in a while, I kind of laugh because we check out, the people that we're competing against, and you'll see, like, down in Tampa, for some reason, we'll come in and somebody spends a ton of money, and we just wait because they spent too much money, and then they fall back off and they don't have any money to spend, and we're just sitting there consistently each month spending the same amount. How important is consistency across all channels of marketing?
The most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I like what you're doing there though with, I assume you're talking about Google search ads and
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's a smart way to do it. Somebody just boosts up their budget to beat you out for a month. Well,
Mhm.
you've just decreased your 2 months worth of budget there. And now for the next month, we're still consistent and now we're at the top. Yeah. And, in everything that you do, you got to be, consistent with it. And, sometimes I catch myself falling off with certain things, but you just, I try to remind myself to, got to get back on that and be more consistent. And as soon as I get back on to being consistent with it, the results, are back where they should be.
Mhm. And one of the things that I know a lot of people talk to me about is, well, I need to run out and hiring a marketing agency and start spending all this money. How many people do you have working for you to help you market all of this? And how many people do you pay to help you market all of this and get business cards in there and send out the calendar invites?
Well, I had an assistant, a couple assistants last year over the course of the year, one at a time. But uh, yeah, I realized that I wanted to handle more of that stuff myself.
Mhm.
Uh, at this point, at least, as I continue to scale and go different directions, I may go back to that route. Uh, but when it comes to yeah, so sending the calendar invites and doing some of the minuscule stuff, that's not super time consuming. So I knocked that out myself. But I do have a web designer and SEO guy that's amazing. Uh, his name's Glenn. And then I also have the business consultant. I call him my CMO, and his name is Zach. So yeah, those are pretty much the two people that I am consistently, paying to be,
Mhm.
they're a part of my team, and uh, yeah. But outside of that, no, I don't. I don't need a big marketing agency to, which, fortunately for me, I do have that background. But
Mhm.
even for somebody that's, just starting out, like you can go on and create a Google business profile. It's,
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's not that, you don't have to be that tech savvy for that. And then, if, when it comes to web development, sure, start your own. It's kind of a toss up though. You
Mhm.
could try to spend the time starting up your own website or focus on where you're good at and outsource it to somebody that can create you a website.
Yeah, and the reason I asked that question is a lot of people I know that are trying to get businesses started, they run out of money real quick because they think they need to go and pay because there's this idea, and I know that it has a warranted place in business development, but there's this idea of always trying to free up your time to the higher purpose. And I always, Rebecca and I talk about it all the time. I'm like, you see people, you kind of rush to that point. Your time's not worth anything yet. Let's be honest. Like, you may think your time is worth $10,000 an hour. It's not.
Right.
Um, and so, we on last week, I think last Wednesday, I was giving a talk to a bunch of business owners, and they were asking me these questions. And sometimes I missed the idea that when Rebecca and I were getting started, we didn't really value our time. We're like, well, of course we can jump on and post and be consistent every day, and we're going to be the ones that do that. And we spent money on our monthly on Canva so that
Mhm.
our posts look cool. And that was our big expenditure. But, we didn't start putting money into like pay per click or even SEO until we had enough coming in to truly, you know, I guess, get that 10x ROI, at least 10x ROI.
Yeah, no, it's certainly a balancing act, and you got to take on some of the stuff in the beginning
Mhm.
because you don't have the funds, or you know, and yeah, at that time it would be worth your efforts to do it yourself and not dig yourself in a hole. But then as you start to scale up, yeah, last year I figured, yeah, I'm doing well. I think it's time for an assistant, uh, and then I came to the realization, these couple hours a week, I can just throw together the calendar invite and handle this, no biggie. I forgot to mention, yeah, I also pay for a videographer guy
Mhm.
now who's helping a ton with my content, um, which yeah, I think is super important, that I'm able to stay top of mind, because that was one thing that I'm like, okay, I'm not into the selfie video, and I want some quality stuff that's still cool. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, that would be another another thing that, I would recommend to folks is not necessarily outsource all of your social media, because the social media company doesn't have all of your collateral, but you can easily put up a post, but to get, have somebody to get consistent content can be super helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you've been building this event, what have been some of the challenges? What have been kind of the hard parts of creating a successful monthly networking event? Is it venues? Is it people? Is it food? Is it service? Like, what's been the biggest challenge?
Well, I have been really fortunate with how the event has progressed. So, I don't want to take that for granted. I'm definitely fortunate that people are showing up and the word has spread so quickly. It's, kind of taken a life of its own. I just, I send the calendar invite, I send one or two reminders, and the people are there. I tend to have no idea how many people are going to show up. So that brings up the issue of, the venue. When I tell them, I'm going to have 100 to 200 people, and then they've staffed for 50, that can be tough. Everyone's on their own tabs, so I don't have to worry much about food. Sometimes I get, feedback about the noise level, because when you have 100 to 150 people talking, it can get louder.
Wow.
So that's probably the biggest predicament right now. Parking is another one that, you don't. Where do we park outside of this restaurant that's meant to just, have, some dinners, some people here for dinner. Trying to find more locations right now is the 3-year anniversary is coming up in August, and I'm actively searching for the best spot for that one.
That's awesome. So what advice would you give to someone who's just getting started? They just started their own business. They're starting to go out to networking events. You kind of mentioned don't shove your card in somebody's face. But what is a really successful method to go to these events and really get a lot of value out of them?
Well, I would say it does circle back to consistency. Going to one event one time, you can exchange contact info, but even at this point, like, I'll go to events and I may get 1 or 2 cards, but if I go back to that event, then all of those same people's faces that I've seen before, they're seeing me, and I'm now kind of becoming known in that circle, because there's a lot of different events. And just go to these events more than once,
Mm-hmm.
stay consistent over a few months, and you'll start to become known in these different circles. And then, take it the step further is what I would do. And, invite somebody out to lunch afterwards. Don't pitch them right there on, hey, I'm Jake, I'm a realtor. Are you looking to buy a house? No. Hey, I'm Jake. I let I do you have any fun vacations planned? Like,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. The conversation will pursue, and, or continue. And, I, definitely tell them about my networking event, because they're at a networking event. It is an easy, plug for me. And then, if I dig the person, we'll go to lunch and get to know each other better on, one-on-one, which I think really helps to expand things even more, move people down the funnel, even if they're not a potential buyer. It's
Right.
helps. Yeah.
That's great. Well, if people want to learn more about you or about your happy hour, or they want to get on the invite list, where should they go? How can they learn more?
Yeah, would love to have everyone out to the next event. It's July 10th from 5 to 8 at Old Beach Tavern. This is going to be content that'll be going on forever, so you might hear it after next week. So go to networkinghh.com, and I appreciate you both having me on the show.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in. If you found this insightful and entertaining, be sure to hit subscribe below and join us on social media to get more insight into what we are going through each and every day.